Good day. I hope I do find you well. My name is Victor Marufu from the Zimbabwe Organic and Natural Foods Association. Primarily, we advocate for natural foods, for healthy foods, for organic foods. We have been around here in Zimbabwe for quite a few years now, and basically our aim is to promote healthy living. I think in Africa we have grown up eating quite a lot of healthy things in our rural homes or wherever it is that we grew up from. So essentially we are promoting going back to those values. Today we are going to be talking mainly on making your own feed for poultry. Why? It's mainly because if you are going to be making any profits from poultry rearing, whether it's broilers, whether it's indigenous or village chickens, you have to be able to know what's in your feed, how much your feed costs you, and essentially you have to be able to control the costs. How do you control the costs? For any farmer who has made it in poultry farming, rarely do you see a farmer who buys commercial feed. For most of them, they are making their own feed as a way of controlling the costs. Before we go into that, I will maybe take a brief moment to tell you of some of the things that we're doing. We have been promoting organically raised broilers. When we say organically raised, please note that we are not saying organically certified broilers. We're saying broilers that are antibiotic free. What do we mean when we say antibiotic free? We are saying normally for the broilers that are on the market right now, from day one, you are putting them chemicals, you are pumping in a lot of drugs, a lot of the similar drugs to or similar antibiotics to what we as humans are consuming. And that has led to a lot of people being anti-resistant to many drugs. And as kids are growing up, you find when you do take them to a hospital, they are resistant to a lot of antibiotics on the market. This is not something that we have started, it's something that has been going on. In fact, in European countries, in American countries, most antibiotics have been banned on the market. You can only get antibiotics for your chickens via a prescription from your vet. But here in Africa, we're still behind. So what have we done to promote broilers that are antibiotic free? We have got what we call probiotics. Essentially, probiotics, they are microorganisms that work by cleaning the water. For every 1 liter of probiotics, you can dilute it with 200 liters drinking water. Essentially, what that does is to clean your water from any disease-carrying pathogens or bacteria. Also, you find that these microorganisms or these probiotics, they also work to prevent your chicken from catching a lot of diseases, because most diseases, as we know, they are waterborne. So we've got these probiotics for those farmers that want to go essentially organic in raising their poultry, whether it's broilers or village chickens. From probiotics, we also have other supplements that work hand in hand with these probiotics. We've got our anti-stress pack, which is basically mint combined with other botanic ingredients from trees that are available here in Africa, in Zimbabwe specifically, and you mix it with the drinking water to replace the normal stress pack that we buy, which is antibiotic. From there, we also have our poultry power. The poultry power is essentially an easy-to-feed supplement that also has omega-3, and it's got vitamins and fatty acids, and it does boost your poultry when you're feeding them, so that they do gain, they do convert whatever it is that they are eating. We also have our vitamins that contain electrolytes, and these are all natural supplements, and they aid in hydration and in nutrition. You can feed your birds from as early as a week to make sure they get all these vitamins. Then you have, for those that are keeping layers, we also have a layer boost, which also contains omega-3 and electrolytes, and it does contain a source of garlic as well, so that garlic aids in boosting laying hens. We also have something that could be of interest to those of you who want to make your own feed at home. This is a small mini grinding mill that you can use in your garage, and wherever you can connect. It's a single phase machine that gives you about 100 to 180 kgs an hour. It means essentially you can make your stock feed at home after you mix all the ingredients as we shall go through. You can also process your herbs or your spices using this small machine. So, having said that, let's now go to our stock feed formulation. You remember we sent you a stock feed formulation software. We are going to be going through it together. What I want you to do is proceed with me. Right now I'm going to be opening it. Once we open it, let's cancel that small right. Once we open it, we'll see that it has gone to the document that has got goats and stuff. We click. Today we are mainly interested in poultry. Right, we've clicked where it says poultry. Let's go to, we've got 3 basic levels. We've got the data entry. At the data entry there, let me scroll up. You will notice that we've got the dry matter percentage there, the crude protein, the energy, and the fiber. These are the 3 essential elements when you're formulating your feed: the crude protein, the energy, and the fiber. You will notice that for maize, for instance, it's got 10.2% crude protein, energy, it's got a high energy content of 13, which means if I want to be making something that's got a high energy content, maize is a good ingredient. It's got a low fiber content. You will notice that, especially for starter, in broilers, you want a low fiber content, which means maize is a good ingredient. If I were to, let's say for instance, use brewer's grain, very good protein content, but look at the crude fiber, 17. It's too much for chicken. I would probably be using that for pigs. So the data entry, we've got the energy ingredients, the roughages, these are your fibers. The protein, the protein content there, you will notice that it's got the plant protein, the animal proteins. Most of us, what is available is the soya meal, the cottonseed, the sunflower, the cowpeas, the groundnut meal. When you are using this formulation, essentially you are using what is available to you. For most of us, I think soya is easily available, but on soya you will note that also we don't want to use raw soya, it's toxic. We would want to process it first. That's why we use soya cake. So you also notice that it's also got a content for cost per ton. This one, it was formulated using the Zim dollar. That's why you've got those millions and billions. But you can edit it and put on your own local costs. If it's naira, if it's kwacha, if it's dollars, whatever your local currency is, you can edit. Remember, this is an Excel document. You can edit it to put in what you want. You can also edit this document if you've got other ingredients that are not there, as long as you know the crude protein, the energy, the fiber, the costs, the dry matter content, which normally on the internet you can find that information. Then from the data entry, you will see where it says formulate. But before we go to formulate, we want to go where it says output there. The output, it's showing us the targets for best value results. This is what we want to achieve. You will notice that for starter broiler, it's got crude protein of 20 to 22%, energy 11 to 5%, 11.5, fiber target is 3%, the finisher is 7% on fiber, and not too much of a difference on energy, but slightly lower protein levels and higher fiber levels. You also notice that when you are keeping broilers, you only need the starter and the finisher. The growers, it's not necessary because the difference is in the protein and fiber content. On the layers, you also notice that there is a very slight difference between the growers layers and the layers mash in terms of a bit of lowering of the protein content there, which is very negligible. So once we've seen this is the target, this is what we want to achieve when we are formulating, you'll find where it says the final diet statistics, it means someone formulated this and managed to get 16.7 crude protein, 12.8 and 8.3, which means it's roughly a finisher for the broilers. So this is your output column. How then do we formulate? We are going to where it says formulate there. It shows you, if I click there, it will show me the best ingredients for poultry. It's crushed maize, white sorghum, maximum 10%, protein, soybean meal, not raw, dehulled sunflower, dehulled cottonseed. In my experience, I haven't really seen cottonseed being used. Then it also says not always include salt, vitamin, and mineral mix. The other thing is, you will notice that our total should always be 100%. Always 100%. So, while we are on formulate there, we've seen the best ingredients for poultry. If I scroll up there, we're now going to be doing it together. Where it says notes for you there, if I do click there, it says enter inclusion rates for those raw materials you want to use. Remember, we said you can select what is easily available to you and ensure the diet contains at least an energy source, a protein source, and a roughage source. Additives, you use limestone flour, not feed grade, and salts and vitamin mineral mix. So, as a rule of thumb, it says energy sources constitute at least 60% of the diet. Protein sources constitute not more than 40% of the diet. Additives should constitute not more than 5%. You will notice at the bottom of your software there, the additives add up to not more than 5%, but also they are fixed. You cannot change those additives. So we said the energy sources constitute at least 60%. Let's say I want to use white maize there. I would click in, let's say for argument's sake, I click in 50. If you can click in 50 with me there, press enter. Let's say I had a bit of sorghum crushed. If I had a bit of sorghum crushed, let's say we're still on energy. Remember, we want to use at least 60%. And I put in 10 there. So I put in 100 instead of 10. Let's put in 10 there. Right. That is on energy. On roughages, you don't quite need a lot of roughage. If you remember, we have got at least not more than 7% of roughage. So let's say I was going to use the meal screenings or maize offals. Let's say for argument's sake, I put in 15 there. I've put in 15. You can see my total now is at 115, which means I've got too much somewhere. Let me put in a 0 where it says polars there. Also, remember what we said, we want to achieve the best on our poultry, but at the same time, we don't have to use everything, because this also helps us formulate for pigs, for sheep, for cattle. So some of the ingredients can work well for cattle or for pigs, not necessarily for poultry. You can see I'm already at 102%, which means I'm over the limit before I even go to proteins. So I have to subtract something. Let's say I take off my sorghum there, I put in 0. If you can click in 0 with me, I'm on 92. I still want at least some protein content there. I still want, let's say I put in, right now I'm on 92, and if I were to put 8 there where it says soybean, let's just see what we've produced. If I put in 8 there, so far I'm on 75, what have I taken off? So I need to find where to put in another 75. So let me put in 20 there. Remember, we are still trying out and seeing what is the best. I'm still at 87%. Let me go on output now, so far, to see what I formulated. If you can see where it says final diet statistics, remember I'm not even at 100%. My fiber content is too much, because let's say I wanted to make starter broiler there. My fiber content, I'm already at 9.5 opposed to 3. My energy content is 10.9, which is not too bad. My protein content is very low. I'm supposed to have 20 to 22, which means I've got to take out something that has got high fiber and put in something that's got a bit more protein but low fiber. To me, maize makes sense to increase maize because it's got high energy content but very low fiber. So what do? I can put in, let's say, 60 there where it says maize. I'm on 97, but remember I want to take off a lot of fiber. I had 15 there on fiber. Let's say on roughages I had 15. Let's say if I were to put in 8 there, I'm on 90, and add the 10 on soybeans to make it 30 there. So far I'm on 100. I go back to output to see what I have formulated. You can see on crude protein I'm at 18.4 compared to about 20 to 22. On fiber it's still high for starter. I need to make it 3%. So what do I need to do? I need to go and check on my data entry. What is it that I'm using that's got a high fiber or low fiber? Because I want low fiber, which means that if I increase a lot of maize there, which has got very low fiber, I can win. Because look at the soybean meal, it's got about 7% fiber. So let me go back to formulate. I want to use something that will give me more energy or more protein but less fiber. Let me put in